The Atlanta Hawks have had a very interesting season this year. After barely getting into the playoffs via the play-in, they took the Boston Celtics to 6 games before being sent home. But before this series, there are reports and articles about how the Hawks might be looking to trade their superstar Trae Young, which sounds about as insane as you think. Not only is he the face of the franchise, he took the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals just 2 years ago. So why would they want him gone? Well, that's a bit of a loaded question, and honestly, a part of a bigger problem. Yo, what's up everybody, it's your boy 2KJ, and today I want to dive a little bit deeper on what's going on with the Atlanta Hawks and what they might be doing in the future. If you like the content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get right into it. Now, before I get into why it's a part of a bigger problem, let's start from the beginning. The Atlanta Hawks are an oddly constructed team to say the very least. They let one of their better players in Kevin Herter walk last season and instead opted to trade for all-star guard DeJounte Murray, to form an all-star backcourt with him and Trae. This was obviously a very good trade because on paper it made a lot of sense, as in 2023 Murray averaged 20.5 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, and 6.1 assists on 46% from the field and 38% from the three. In comparison, Herter averaged 15.2 points per game, 3.3 rebounds, and 2.9 assists on 49% from the field and 40% from the three. So better splits for Herter, but overall better production of Murray, which is what they needed. So why was their team worse this year? Let's take a look at the 3-year span from 2021 to 2023 and see how the Hawks' production has changed, or maybe even gotten worse. In 2021, the Hawks won 41 games in a slightly shortened season due to COVID, putting up 113.7 points per game, good for 13th in the league, and holding opponents to 111.4, which was 12th. They were 8th in offensive rating as well, but also 21st in defensive. That's something to keep in mind as we keep going forward. The next year, the Hawks finished with 43 wins, but had to make the play-in just to get curb stomped by the Heat in 5 games. That season, they were 6th in the league in scoring at 113.9 points per game and 21st in opponents' points per game at 112.4. They ranked 2nd in the league in offensive rating, but at the cost of a major step back on defense at 26th. So, looking at these 2 years, you would think that getting an all-star replacement at guard would make a huge difference. And it certainly did, as they ranked 3rd in the NBA in points per game with 118.4, but nearly dead last at 26th in opponents' points per game at 118.1. Not only that, but their offense and defensive ratings were eerily close, with 116.6 being offensive at 7th in the NBA and 116.3 being defensive at 22nd in the NBA. So what happened? Well, at first glance, it's pretty obvious what's going on. Their offense took a major leap at the cost of their defense, and that's what's been happening the past couple of years. But again, why is this happening? Well, the answer to this question actually has a lot less to do with Trae or Murray than you think. Obviously, Trae Young isn't the best defender, but he is improving as a defender as a whole, and has actually been improving the past couple of years. He still definitely needs to step up his defense for this team, but also in that same vein, there were a couple of other players who have regressed massively in their defense. Now, specifically, I'm talking about Clint Capela and John Collins. In their current playoff series, well, their past playoff series in the Celtics, the Hawks gave up 121.2 points per game against the Celtics in 6 games and only put up 115.8 themselves. That is atrocious even by their season numbers, and it's obvious that the Hawks are missing that lockdown player defensively wise to anchor the first and second units. Now, this is supposed to be the job of Clint Capela and John Collins, but both have regressed pretty significantly. To give you a bit of a better understanding on what I'm talking about, we're going to take a look at both of these players' defensive metrics from the past 2 years. First, Capela. Just taking a first glance at his stats, you can see that there's a pretty major difference. Now, he was injured this year and only played 65 games, but these numbers are wildly different. In the 2021 season, he was legitimately one of the best centers in the league, but now it's a completely different story. You can see that his defensive field goal percentage is way up from 2 years ago, which is contributing to some of the Hawks' issues, and as a matter of fact, all of his numbers are significantly worse than they were in 2020, with his overall defensive score being almost 2 points worse. Next is John Collins, who's more of an interesting case than Capela. If you see his numbers from the 2021 season and the 22-23 season, you can see that they've really only changed by a couple of percent. And overall, he's a marginally worse defender than he was in that Eastern Conference Finals season. This is more of a reflection of the Hawks as a whole, though. They've plateaued with their current roster, and there's no denying it. So it all comes back to our original question. Do you trade Trae Young and build around Murray? I don't think they should. Let me explain why. Usually when teams entertain the idea of trading their superstar, it's either because one of them or both of them are unhappy, or they just want to blow everything up. I think the problem with the Atlanta Hawks is that they are just a bad defensive team as a whole. There's a really good reason why they've ranked in the bottom half of the league for defensive rating and opponents' points per game in the past 2 years, and it's getting high time that either Collins or Capela or some of these other guys on the bench either step up or get shipped out for players that can make a bigger impact. Trading Trae Young is not going to help them in the slightest. They just simply need to be a better team defensively. I expect the full year with a new coach to help that, but I also expect the Hawks to push to get some better defensive guards on the bench as well. Because if they don't, I don't see them competing in an ever-growing East at all. But what do you guys think the Hawks should do? Do you think they'll run it back with the same roster, or do you think major overhauls are coming this offseason? Either way, if you like the content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!